Good morning. Come for a run with me. I'll explain to you how I discovered in 2024 that I'm an accidental stoic and how I've learned two monumental lessons that have really changed my life and put everything into perspective. But first, I need to give you a little bit of a rundown on what's been occurring, what's occurring in the last 4 years. Super simple breakdown because I know most people that watch this kind of have a bit of an idea. In May of 2020, during lockdown, my beautiful wife Becky was diagnosed with breast cancer. At the time, we had no idea really what the prognosis was, and really a year of surgery, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and all the horrendous things that she had to endure was really our lockdown, alongside all the other craziness that was taking place in 2020 that we all had to endure. I was working 60, 70-hour weeks trying to keep a very practical university course in music and film online, which was tough. Trying to homeschool the kids, look after a puppy, and make sure Beck's meds and treatment and everything was on track. I had very little control, and I've always prided myself on being somebody that's very pragmatic in situations where I need to take control. Have that ability to switch into practical mode, deal with the problem, get it sorted in the most practical and fairly unemotional way. And I could do none of this during 2020. I had no control on Beck's illness, her treatment, and the world events that were going on around us. So, like any good human being, I sought control in other areas of my life. One of them was work, had control over that. The other one was my drinking, and slipped back into areas of dependency and addiction in regard to that. It's always about control. Post-COVID, the university went through some massive changes in terms of structuring and jobs. And there was a very real sense in my head of how a lot of my colleagues were seriously suffering, really, really stressed out, very concerned, and rightly so in my opinion. But I just seemed to take it slightly more in my stride. I'm not saying that I wasn't stressed out and worried. I was very concerned, but some of my friends and colleagues were a little bit perplexed as to why I was able to take it in my stride a little bit more. And so fast forward a little bit to this year, doing 75 hard. One of the books I read was Michael Eason's Comfort Crisis. And I sort of put two and two together with this, that this is clearly a situation where something slightly less stressful, like a job, when you compare it to the possibility of losing the love of your life, I was able to deal with that far better because I had some experience of further discomfort. Also, as part of my reading list for the 75 hard was Ross Edgley's book, this one. And in that he talks a lot about Stoicism, and a lot of these things started to really ring true with me as to how it is my life and my mind have changed post-COVID, post-Beck's treatment. And so to lesson one, really, it's this idea that internal problems can't be fixed externally. It sounds really obvious when you say it out loud, but all of the problems that we have really are inside us. Any problems with self-confidence, stress, worry, fears, all the things we'd love to eradicate, we have a tendency to look externally for solutions to that. In some cases, it might be ending a relationship, getting a new job, seeking a promotion, new car, holiday, house, whatever it might be. And in most cases, it gives very short-lived respite from those things, and in some cases, doesn't give any respite at all. In fact, it only serves to make you feel worse. So one of the key tenets I've learnt from reading up and learning about Stoicism is this idea of taking ownership and looking internally for solutions to those things that might strike you as being easily solved externally. They just simply aren't. You see, one of the drawbacks of making videos like this is I get my head into the camera and I kind of end up missing out on the beauty of the things that are around me. And one of the things I've really enjoyed in the last couple of months is just going out on my bike, running, going to the gym, and just doing that, really being hyper aware of what's around me. So this philosophy that I had heard of before called Stoicism kept cropping up. My friend Ian Bettis mentioned it to me, and I started noticing it in particularly Ross Edgley's books. Now, if you're anything like me, I used to think Stoicism was really peculiar. I thought it was very stiff upper lip, very cold, very emotionless, kind of Victorian approach to life where you just didn't, you felt removed, you felt cold, and there wasn't really any sense of emotional engagement with the world, and that just isn't me. It really isn't me at all. The more I learned about Stoicism, the more I noticed that really I had this really very, very wrong, and maybe you do too. You see, it's not about being emotionless, it's about being very aware of the things you have control of. And my reading on Stoicism led me to this book by Derren Brown. Yes, this Derren Brown.
Suggestion, psychology, misdirection and showmanship.
And in it, he very succinctly outlines what Stoics have understood for thousands of years, and that in essence, we have control over this and this alone, our actions and our reactions. And the things that we don't have control over is literally everything else. I can't control the weather, I can't control the ground, I can't control the way somebody thinks, the way they act. Anything at all in the world is completely out of my control. And that liberation is incredibly powerful. So for example, the other day when I was driving up quite a steep hill and there was a set of temporary traffic lights, I almost could hear the script in my head of what I'd usually say when the car in front of me slowed down, and literally watched the lights go red. I could hear myself thinking, even saying out loud, what's the matter with you? Like, you've been sat in the same traffic as me. Why aren't you driving a bit quicker? Sort of really losing my rag. And in essence, it has no impact on the world around me. I have no control over that person losing my temper, or even just losing my rag, or even having negative thoughts about it results in no change in the world. I have no control over them. I have no idea why they did that. They might have a problem with their car. They might have seen something run out on the road. Who knows? I have no idea. The net result of me losing my rag is purely me losing my rag. As they say, no amount of sadness or anger is going to change what's happened in the past, and no amount of fear or anxiety is going to change what happens in the future. All that changes is how you feel. So this was it for me, my reactions. So how I respond to the things that I have no control over is an important element of this. My semi-stoic response to the situation at work was that in essence I have no control over the decisions of the board or whatever corporate entity it is that's focus isn't on me as a human being. I can't change those decisions. What I can do is deal with it in a response that doesn't add or compound to the anxiety. The situation itself doesn't change at all. What you can change is your reaction to it. The more obvious thing is your action, things you can do physically, psychologically, things going forward. So responses to things that have happened, and action is things going forward. You have control over that and nothing else in the world ever. And I read this and I put the book down for several weeks actually, whilst trying to take this on board and just trying to spot these things in action. Literally, I had read this years ago. Chris Balman said, we can't control what happens to us. The only thing we have control over is our response to it. So who knew? Chris Balman, probably one of my early Stoic heroes. And so to some extent, this is part and parcel of why I haven't posted many videos in the last 6 months. Weirdly, my channel monetized in August, and traditionally on YouTube, that's when people go all in. They start making more videos, more content. I think I've made one, maybe 2 videos since my channel monetized. It seems completely counterintuitive. There is a very, very honest reason for why I haven't done them. And it was to see how important they were. Not to you, not to the world around me, because I have no control over that. How people respond and react to my videos is really of no consequence. I've always said that, but I really wanted to put it to the test for myself. Your average YouTuber will probably now at this point tell you they were inundated with messages from people saying, where have you got to? What are you doing? We really miss your videos. I think I had 4 people check in with me just to see if I was okay, which is lovely. Thank you very much. And I'm absolutely fine. What I didn't have was thousands of people contacting me going, I really need your videos in my life. Where have you been? I'm lost without you. And that, folks, is a great result. I'm possibly a bit lost here. Oh no, here we go. The path is often nearer to where you are than you think. I wanted to see if I missed making them purely for the sake of making them, and I have. I genuinely have. As I said, in fact, the last time I was on this trail, I talked about how these videos are my journaling, and I've really missed that. And that's why I'm going to start making these videos again, because they're seemingly not that important to the world, which is brilliant. So anti-social media of me to say, but I don't care. But I have missed them. I've missed thinking about what I want to say in these videos. I've missed the nice mindfulness element of filming them and it getting me out on runs and bikes, and also editing. And really what happens when I put them out into the world, well, A, I have no control over that, but B, it's genuinely of no consequence to me. If they're useful and they inspire people, great, that's an added bonus. But the fact that I've made it and I hit publish, that's the end of its life for me. I have no control thereof after. The minute I hit publish, they no longer belong to me. So a quick mid-video summary. The first lesson I've learned is that the problems to internal solutions have to be looked for internally. You have to take responsibility for it. A new watch, a new pair of glasses, sunglasses, suit, whatever, is not going to solve that problem. It doesn't mean, however, that I've become some kind of Zen monk. I still like my watches, I still like my suits, still like all those other things, but I'm much more aware of the temporary joy that they bring, and actually, they're really pretty insignificant. You have to take responsibility for your solutions to your problems. They're yours, own them, sort them out. And the second thing is that in the world, the only thing you have any control over are your actions, what you do, and your reactions, how you respond. You have no control over anything else. Nothing at all. There's another YouTuber, I'm not going to mention any names because really their actions and what they do is nothing to do with me whatsoever, but they're huge. I mean, like hundreds of times bigger than my channel. And I've noticed more and more recently that their content is becoming, how should we say, well, made for the audience. And that's kind of very astute and a bit corporate, I guess. And I think judging by the background of this particular person, or couple actually, as they now are, shows that they've got a very good sense of corporate entity, and that's totally cool. But more and more recently, their behaviours and their choices that they've been making have kind of been a little bit more, to my mind anyway, externally generated. Morning. Did I see you earlier?
Yeah.
All right, morning again. And since they've gone all in on social media, they've done the classic moving house and all the rest of it, and even to the point where just before I stopped following them on all socials, his wife even ended up with an OnlyFans account, which really was the thing that made me stop in my tracks. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, like, what is this we're doing? At what point do we stop making stuff for external reasons and focus on them being internal reasons? Their choices are theirs. As I said earlier, it's not something I have any concern over in terms of control. I'm sure if I were to sit down with them, they'd have very good reasons and a very good explanation, but really it's nothing to do with me. What it can do is trigger a response from me to question why and how I do things. And that's really why I stopped for a while. I wanted to see what all this was about. Would I miss it? Would I be terribly worried about not posting stuff? And the short answer really is not at all. I mean, it's not my main income, not by a long, long way. Since I monetise the channel, I make about 20, 30 quid a month. It's nothing. What I do miss is this opportunity to journal, this opportunity to think things through. I mean, these two things that I talked about, these two lessons, I dread to think what hours I've put into studying and reading and thinking things through, and daily spotting circumstances where I have an opportunity to actually question my response and stop and take a breath and just think to myself, just hang on. Like getting angry in my car at that driver in front, literally not going to change anything. Hours thinking, and I love it, and I love summarising it in these videos. It really helps me, and that, folks, that really is all that's important. I've missed that and nothing else, and seemingly you guys haven't really missed these videos, in which case, which is great, it means you're doing all right, doesn't it? You don't need me, but I think possibly more importantly for the sake of this video, I really don't need you either. And so that's it. I've still got loads to say, Still got loads that I think about, and I will summarise them in these videos, but what I won't be doing is making videos for you per se. I certainly won't be getting an OnlyFans account, and I certainly won't start taking testosterone. Give it a go, try it out, just think about those things. Look at what the problems are, take ownership of them. They're not external triggers, they're your responses. Anything you list that you'd like to change in your life, you have some degree of control over. Some of it might be very difficult to do. It might involve you walking away from a relationship or a job or selling something. They might be difficult decisions, but that is in your control. What you're more fearful of is taking that drastic step, but that does not mean the solution is out here. There's no app for it. There's no one that you can go and see for therapy or anything like that. And if you do go and see somebody for therapy, they should really be telling you what I'm telling you, that it's in your control, because that's all you have. That's it for now. Let's see what happens in the next 12 months, next 12 minutes, next 12 days, next 12 decades. Who knows? Who cares? Because ultimately I have no control over any of that. And let's see what happens between now and the next video. And when I'm ready and when I can be bothered and I want to say something, I'll put it out there. Look after yourself, folks, because at the end of the day, you're the one in control of what you do and nothing else. I'll see you later.